Ahoy there! Welcome. My name's Adam Park and I'm head of brand and licensing at Rare. And I am joined today by 3 members of the Sea of Thieves crew. Sea of Thieves crew?
Sea of Thieves,
it's kind of work. So I'll go along the row. So we've got Joe Neats, executive producer on Sea of Thieves. We've got Mike Chapman, who's our creative director. And then we've got Joe, who is our senior community manager. So how is everyone?
Excited, tired, everything, all of the above.
That wonderful mix you get at events.
Yeah.
Feeling the buzz of the live show.
Yeah.
Chatting to fans, the energy.
So,
awesome.
I mean, it is our first official show since 2019.
Yeah.
So how is it actually being... I mean, I'm sure everyone's asking the same question. But how is it back at a show with people?
Right. Overwhelming, but in the best way, right? Yeah. Like, it really is. Like, it's just... The passion, the excitement, the buzz, I think that we all have coming to a show like this, right? And kind of meeting the fans, but then giving back to us from everybody that we see. It's just like, it's incredible. Like, we've brought so many of the team here. We've got about 13, I think, with us. Like, and because it's just so valuable bringing people to shows, getting that buzz, getting that energy that you just take back to the studio to kind of just pour into more Sea of Thieves, basically, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like 2019, but it feels so much longer.
Yeah.
Like the first live show for us since 2019, so exactly what Joe said, feeling the buzz from the fans, and we get to take that energy back to the studio to keep making this here.
And so, Joe, this is your first official Sea of Thieves event.
Yes, first official Sea of Thieves event and first Gamescom in general.
And?
It's amazing. Like, obviously, we had a little taste of this end of July with Sotfest.
Yep.
And that was wonderful to see the fans in person after so long, and for the first time for, I think, a lot of us. And now we've brought it to Gamescom, and some of them are here, and you're seeing them again and recognising them, and you get that real sense of what it means to them to be a part of this community.
And we've got all sorts going on the stand, so go on, show off. So we've got tattoo stands, we've got Gold Hunters Live, which people can tune into. You can come and win things, photo ops, meet the team, so it's great being back. But, so obviously it's been 3 years since we've done anything like this. What's gone on generally, Mike? I'm going to ask you to start with.
Sure.
Sea of Thieves, has anything happened in the last 3 years?
What haven't we done?
Honestly,
I think like, our passion has always been to keep building out this pirate world. And over the last 3 years, you think back to the things that we've added the emissary system. In fact, that players can go and role play as their trading companies for extra rewards. We've added new quest types. We brought in our seasonal progression systems. We brought in our adventures. We brought in our mysteries. We brought in like all these new ways to play. And one of the key ones, of course, was our collaboration with Disney on A Pirate's Life. And since 2019. Thank you, sir.
Just keep going.
Yeah. And one of the big ones was what happened with The Pirate's Life. So working with Disney, we built all of that during the pandemic. Being at home, working with this team, we've worked together for so long. All of this incredible bonds and relationships that we built allowed us to get through what was a very hard time, but come through it stronger as a team, and we're more passionate than ever.
And obviously, Joe, you joined Sea of Thieves during the pandemic. How has it been, like, that dynamic of actually coming into the studio?
It's the best thing. Like, you get a real sense since day one of how closely the team works together and how approachable everyone is. There's no one that you can't just drop a message to, but that translates over to the studio where we've got such a wonderful, creative, nurturing environment, but you can go and knock on the door of anyone or bump into them into the corridor and conversations spark from that. It's such a wonderful thing to now have that. Everyone's not just behind a screen anymore.
And how do you feel, Joe? I mean, again, it's been a long 3 years. We've achieved a lot in that time. How does it feel being back somewhere like this with what we've done?
Well, honestly, like, I think we were talking about this kind of earlier, right? Like you were talking about during the pandemic, the team's all separated, but being back in the studio, you just get that energy that you feed off each other. You feed off kind of the team and the people around you. And coming to a show like this, you kind of get that same thing. Like I said, it's just you feed off the energy. Like, and even though we're exhausted and we've all got sore throats and I've got a cough sweet in my mouth at all times, like water on hand, but it is water, I promise. It's just... It just gives you this energy and desire and passion to just want to go back to the studio and just pour it into your work and pour it into the game. And you kind of want to take it and bottle it, right, and then take it back to the whole studio, like we always do when we go back. We take photos and videos and do a big presentation and really try and just get people to understand what it's like to meet the fans, right? And
you get the afterglow, and this is what we'll experience next week. We'll have this wonderful Gamescom afterglow as we get to take that back to the studio, like Joe said, and put it into all the ambitious things we've got planned for this year and beyond.
Well, before we get onto that, teases and the like. So you did, like you mentioned it, one of the things we introduced in the last few years was seasons.
Yes.
Season 7.
Yeah.
Just gone live a couple of weeks back.
Indeed.
And it's a biggie.
It is a biggie.
It's a biggie. So, like, what have you, and I'm going to start with you, Mike, but I will come to you, what have you kind of enjoyed seeing people do? And what has Season 7, like, introduced to Sea of Thieves?
Well, Season 7, you're right, is a big one. And the idea of being a pirate captain in our world, the idea that your ship becomes an embodiment of who you are in this world and your pirate journey. Captaincy extends that pirate journey. It allows you to, as our community have often requested, to name your ship for the first time, to have this persistent identity for your ship. But beyond that, we're bringing in new progression elements. We're bringing in the captain's log, bringing ways that your session and the ship now feels like a home. So based on how you play, your ship represents who you uniquely are as a pirate and how you play in Sea of Thieves. So I think one of the most important things that has meant a lot to us seeing the reception is just seeing players go all in on that role play. You know, we're going all in the idea of this is who I am, and when you board someone's ship, that representing who they are in the Sea of Thieves world.
And why captaincy now? Like, what made sense to bring it in at this point?
Well, it's one of those features. I think we were always going to do it.
Yeah.
Why it made sense now was, and it kind of goes back to the question around what's happened in the last 3 years. You think about how much richer that Sea of Thieves experience has become. There's so many ways to play in Sea of Thieves now. There's so many ways to be who you uniquely are as a pirate, where the sandbox has got richer. There's new activities, there's new quests, there's new enemy threats. There's just new ways to play. So captaincy coming in now and rewarding you for all the unique things that's now in the sandbox, it kind of just puts this lovely new layer to that pirate journey. And it just celebrates this rich game that Sea of Thieves has become.
And I suppose, Joe, from a community perspective, you must have seen this played out in real time. Like, how has the community taken to captaincy?
That's the thing. Like, from day one, they've been asking, when can we name our ships? When can we do this? And then we've not only delivered that, we've delivered so much more on top of it, that people now have this pirate identity that until now was just conversations or role plays. And we've got people that are going for all those fishing trinkets, or people like myself that it's all cannons fired and fort of the dams that you've completed. And you've got that real sense of identity now from our players, because they can represent themselves on their ship, and they're colour coordinating everything, and they're decorating, and they're playing how they've always played, but now they're rewarded for it with their own identity. And they absolutely adore it. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, a big part of that is beyond just the notion of being a pirate captain. We wanted the idea that pirate captains in a world like ours would become the VIPs. Yep. They become the rock stars of the world. So as part of captaincy, and that's a big update that we brought in, there's a set of perks and conveniences that captains now have. So when you own your first ship in the Sea of Thieves, there's a unique cashing point just for you in the Sea of Thieves world to make offloading that treasure, you know, as part of going out there and having adventures, making that feel so much more efficient, using the harpoon to harpoon the treasure off the deck, cashing in that treasure really efficiently. But alongside that as well, you've got the new trinket system. So this new progression system that allows you to unlock these trophies that represent who you are. There's the captain's voyages, so you can select exactly what you want to do and store all of the voyages that you could do on this bookcase immersively in the captain's cabin. As part of that as well, you can go to the shipwright and you can purchase resources right there from the outpost and have them delivered to your barrels. So the idea that if you are a ship captain in the Sea of Thieves, you can get your ship ready quickly, you can pick the adventure you're going to go on, and you can just walk straight on that ship and have your adventures. And then that adventure be persistent. There's that sense of consequence for your actions. Your ship showing the battle scars of all your adventures. You choosing to, maybe you want to keep that. Maybe you want to role play with this kind of battle-scarred ship. Or you can pay a small amount of gold to make the hull pristine again. So it really strengthens and really amplifies everything that's already unique about Sea of Thieves.
That second option is me. I have to pay to get it redone. I get in too many fights.
Yeah. I love that though. I love the way it just allows players to be more uniquely who they are.
Yeah.
And like being out on the waves and looking through the spyglass and seeing all these ship names and how players have chosen to represent themselves. I mean, that's the magic, and it's enriched the sandbox of Sea of Thieves, and that's what we always want to do.
So, I'm going to go now. So we mentioned ship names. It's a biggie. big part of captaincy. You don't have to tell me, but I'm going to ask a couple of you this. What did you name your ships? And I'm going to start with you, Joe.
So I named my sloop is Littlefoot.
Yeah.
My rare loadout brig is Get Red.
Nice.
And my galleon, which is the one that we use the most. So if you see it on the seas, come and say hello. That's the purple loadout, and that is the Purple Rain with the quartermaster sails.
Very good.
Nice.
And what about you, Mike?
Okay, so I've got a sloop and a brig. So for the sloop is called the Golden Blade.
Yep.
So fans of Sea of Thieves will know that the Silver Blade, the Burning Blade, it's a big part of their lore. So the Golden Blade's a little tease for our fans, maybe, someone that's really into the lore, but my sloop is called the Golden Blade, and my brig is called Inferno. And that is actually a reference to One-Eyed Willie's ship, Inferno, in the 80s classic, The Goonies.
And why, Mike, is the Goonies so unique? Because it's something that comes up, like, right back, and Joe?
It's because the 80s was the best decade, like, beyond, like, that's just
Hands
like,
down, no
even
contest.
Broadcast over.
Yeah.
No, but you took the whole team to see the Goonies during development.
We did, we hired a cinema out, didn't we? We hired the Electric Cinema out in Birmingham, very lovely independent cinema. But yeah, had some pirate-themed cocktails that they put on, and yeah, we took the whole team to see it because it was all about that camaraderie, that adventuring together, right?
Like, in all seriousness, like it's hard not to get emotional when Joe. That's such an incredible memory of the development of Sea of Thieves, and in such a deep and meaningful way. When we went to watch the Goonies together, it felt like we, as a team, were about to embark on our own pirate adventure, like the characters in that movie. And we knew we wanted to create a game where the bonds between the crew felt like the bonds between the characters in the Goonies. They're on this pirate adventure, they don't know what's going to happen, they're going to be surprised by all the dangers and the perils that come their way. So the Goonies for us is just, it's a lovely memory, but it really feels in tune with the spirit of what Sea of Thieves has always been.
Yeah. So Joe, instead of asking you what your ship's called, no one's asked me.
No one's asked you.
Mine was Notorious BRG, which works verbally, doesn't work when written. Anyway, so what's some of the favourite ships you've seen, though?
So what I love about like the ship naming throughout the community is obviously people trying to make humorous things, try and make stuff that it's going to get a reaction or get a chuckle from people when they look through the kind of spyglass and see it and stuff. So like SOT, so SOT Final Boss, like that gave me a little chuckle, right? That did. Like, it's like you see that, it's like, yeah, I love that. People like role-playing as the fearsome kind of AI threat in the world. But I just love it. I love that. Anything that makes me chuckle is what gets me, right? And there's so much of that. But that was one that stuck in my head that I think someone tweeted from God of Reddit or something. But yeah.
And what about you, Mike? Any favourites?
That is a great example. And obviously, how awesome players have got this new way to express their creativity in the Sea of Thieves world, and the fact that we can laugh about it together. But honestly, there's so many examples. But Usain Bolt, referencing Usain Bolt, the Olympic medalist, that made me chuckle.
I like the way that you felt like you had to explain that.
Well, I want to make sure. It's all right. The world-known Olympic medalist. But one that I just can't forget. It's a little bit dark, but she kept the house.
Beautiful.
That really made me chuckle.
That is good.
It's very clever. It's very clever.
And how about you, Joe?
Honestly, the really obvious ones are the ones that make me giggle. I ran across a galleon that was just, this boat is big.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes. It is.
Little salute on your way.
Aye, it is.
Yeah.
And it's those ones that I like, but you see them when you say you've got the role-playing ones where they've gone for some variation on something we've got in game, or you've got just the funny puns that we've seen as well. And it's that creativity that you see, and you're like, you can almost judge what kind of pirate they are.
Yeah.
But not all the time, and I love that.
Yeah. No, you're right, actually, because if someone's got a humorous, like, this boat is big thing, you can imagine approaching them maybe and, like, having a laugh with them, right, and speak to them over, using the speaker jumpy or something. Yeah. So, yeah, you're right, actually. It really adds a kind of different sort of feeling, doesn't it, to encountering other ships.
So I do actually have the top 10 boat names.
Oh, okay.
Right.
This is where we would have Top of the Pops music.
Okay.
For people of a certain vintage.
Cool.
Right.
Did you prep them to, like...
No.
Okay.
Well, actually, does anyone want to guess? See if anyone can guess what number one is. I just flashed it at the camera.
Like a
tour.
Like
a tour.
That would happen.
We knew you'd do that.
I am a conservative MP.
I would say knowing our fans, knowing our community and the role play of the world, and generally how things go down, I would predict something like The Black Pearl.
And you would be quite right, mate.
Yeah. And
collect your gift.
There's a lot of black pearls out there, and how awesome is that?
And that's that original creativity and humour that we love to see from our players. Yeah.
Come on, let people role play. Let people role play. Is what the game's all about.
Any go on, Joe.
If Black Pearl's in there,
Yes.
then there's got to be a Flying Dutchman.
You would be quite right.
Top 3?
No, actually, he's number 7.
Oh.
Joe?
Sorry? Usain Bolt.
Correct.
There you go, that's in there.
So others in the top 10. I'm not going to do an exhaustive list, but we have Sloop Dog.
Sloop Dog, nice.
Very good.
We have Y.
Why?
The letter Y.
I don't want an existential crisis while I'm sailing.
Why?
Why?
Why? Is this just like everybody's just like, why?
Don't come at me with those difficult
don't
questions.
Don't get, look at
on the
that. You
way.
looked really troubled by that, mate.
I am troubled. I don't understand that one.
No.
And then, so,
If your ship's named Y, get in touch.
Yeah.
yeah, actually, yes, let us know why.
Please.
And we hope it's not rude.
Yeah. So we've also got Unsinkable 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I
Titanic
thought there'd be
reference.
Titanic in there.
Okay. Yeah.
Jackdaw.
Jackdaw?
Yes.
Okay.
Real-
Thousand Sunny.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Right,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yep.
Going Merry and Queen Anne's Revenge are all in there
course.
as
The
well.
one
Right.
and only.
So
Very
there we
good.
go. Right, so moving on then.
Were any of those Sea of Teases? No.
We're just getting to that section now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone just like, "Ugh." So,
No.
Adventure 6 then.
Adventure 6.
So it's live right now. People are playing it as we speak. So can you, Mike, probably best, give us an overview of where this fits within the lore and the story? Where are we?
Yeah, so we're in a really interesting time in the Sea of Thieves now in our storytelling, where it's set against the backdrop of these emerging factions in the Sea of Thieves. And our players will know that last year, as part of the Pirates' life, the Dark Brethren emerged, working with Davy Jones. And of course, Davy Jones got defeated because of the valiant efforts of our players. But the Dark Brethren are still around, with Amaranta, their new member, who's an ex-Sea Dog, and we've got everybody's favourite, Duke. So there's the Dark Brethren. There's, of course, the one and only Pirate Lord and his pirate legends. Players are often part of that. And we've got the third area of that, the third faction, which is, of course, Captain Flameheart. So Captain Flameheart and the Reaper's Bones and the Servant of the Flame. So what you're seeing now at this point in Sea of Thieves history is this factional war between these pirate groups that have all got their own vision for the pirate's life and the way they want the pirate's life to be in the Sea of Thieves. And unfortunately, poor Merrick has got himself ensnared in the middle of that. And in Adventure 6, players are recruited by the Pirate Lord to go on this daring rescue mission into the Sea of the Damned, to the new hideout of the Dark Brethren, which is the Twisted Sea Dog Tavern, a memory of that iconic Sea Dogs Tavern from the main world. And you work together with crews to save Merrick. But one of the big things that players who played it will always already realise is this actually brings a chapter of Merrick's story that began with the Hungering Deep, continued with the Shrouded Deep, to the Forsaken Hunter, where Merrick was unfortunately killed and went to the Sea of the Damned, to now in Hunter's Cry. It brings this chapter of Merrick's story to a touching conclusion. The story's not over, but it brings this part of the story to a conclusion. So definitely worth experiencing that story, because it's going to have important ramifications for the rest of the world.
So I met someone yesterday, and they were a massive fan of Merrick, and they wanted to talk to you about that. They came to this town, they're down there, like with a cutlass. But like, no, they were like, they wanted to talk to you. They had some questions.
Deals can always be struck,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm open to ideas, but it's Merrick or Shelley. Shelley the Crab. That's what it's going to come down to.
What, you
That's
Merrick
like,
is this a decision point?
It's next decision point.
It's the new Daddy or Chips, isn't it? It's like,
You can't do that!
Daddy, that's a deep cut, that is.
Place your bet.
Place your bet. So, you're still chuckling at your own jokes, Joe?
that's what I do. That's
why he's here.
Yeah.
So, how far are the adventures planned? And like, and without teasing anything or giving anything away, like, how far out are we looking in terms of where do you know the story is? How far out?
Really far. So I think, like,
What's really?
Really far.
Well, I'd say, like, thematically, like, where we want to go and the direction we're heading into and how we want to represent the pirate's life in all these different ways in the Sea of Thieves. That is planned out multiple years' worth at a high level. In terms of absolute specifics of what the story beats are and exactly which characters are involved and in what way, That's planned out. I mean, it's probably a year and a half's worth of storytelling and adventures that we've got planned out. And we need to do that, because that's the way that you make things meaningful and make it feel authentic to the Sea of Thieves. When we know what's going to happen to a character in a year and a half's time, we can start seeding things early, start bringing players organically into that storytelling. We love to do that because it makes everything feel more meaningful.
And how do you think the community engage with the lore? Is it, because obviously it's not a prerequisite to playing the game, but those who love lore.
Oh yes, they do. I was going to say, you have to get those specifics right, because if one thread is out of place, if one character isn't in the right look, they're going to notice, and they're going to tag Mike on Twitter until he answers for his lore crimes. they know their stuff, that's the thing, because they've been so invested since day one, and we've now stepped it up with the amount of lore we're delivering. And I know across our social channels and on Discord, we've got separate channels, and we had to separate out the lore section, because we've got mysteries and adventures and then general lore, and they're all over it, and they're sharing theories and they're swapping stories, and they thoroughly embrace that side of the storytelling that we've got now.
And I love that. I love that. I mean, that to me shows that a lot of our community are invested in the world and they care about our world. And you're right. Of course, it's not a prerequisite to play Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is this wonderful sandbox adventure game where you get to choose your own adventures. But we've always believed that the more meaning and purpose we can put into the world, the deeper we can make that world feel, the easier it is to immerse yourself in those adventures and that role play. So it's there, waiting, full of surprises for players that want it, but it's not a prerequisite for Sea of Thieves.
And how do we bring in expanded universe into this? Again, with the planning, we need to know what's coming, but say the most recent novel. We planned that, was it 2 years ago? We had the first Tracy.
Quite a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, so how do you kind of keep all of this? Is there a big board with lots of...
We do have a lore Bible, which is quite high level. If it was too detailed, it would get hundreds and hundreds, thousands of pages probably. But it's a lot of meetings, it's a lot of discussion, it's a lot of building up that knowledge together as a team. I mean, you're right, everything in the EU is canon to our story. So what players have seen before with the Tales of the Sea of Thieves lore book, the 2 novels that we've now got out, the RPGs and the expansion, all of those stories are canon to our world. And there's a huge responsibility that comes with that. Experiencing any of those materials should be just another window into the Sea of Thieves world, and when you play the game, it should strengthen and vice versa, both of those elements. So we have to get it right.
Every time.
That's the pressure. That's the pressure.
Yeah, that's the pressure.
So we had our first decision point adventure, where the community effectively decided...
Wrongly.
Come now.
Can we edit this out?
It's sassy today.
So the community were able to decide the fate of the world. So we're going to start asking, what side were you all on? So
I was Ruin Golden Sands.
Golden Sands.
And you even have that. How about yourself?
Don't remind me, Joe. I'd actually forgotten that you were on that side.
No.
Save Golden Sands.
You're surrounded.
All the way. I am. I mean, I'm snared in the
sandwich
of the Reapers.
Okay.
Reaper sandwich.
No, I think... As we've seen today, interacting with people here at Gamescom, Merrick is such a beloved character, and what Merrick stands for, and he's a salty pirate that's lived his life in the Sea of Thieves, and people love that character. And I think for me, it's a more interesting story, and it's unbelievable that the community chose to go that way. The fact that they bonded together to take this positive action to defend Golden Sands.
So which side were you, Joe? I think we can guess.
Ruin Golden Sands, absolutely. And
obviously all on the side of Sea of Thieves.
Sorry?
I'm not going to move away from that. I was going to make a Sunak Trust.
No, let's not do that.
But we won't do that.
Because that would be the most offensive thing you could ever do. To be...
But, all right, moving on quickly, did we have the result you expected? Genuinely?
No.
It was, I couldn't predict.
I kept watching the conversations happening, and we'd made all these fun things across our Discord servers so that people showed their allegiance rather than anything else. And the Reaper's hideout was just burning stuff. Yeah. Merrick's was coordinating loot, and I had no way of knowing which way it was going to go. And as much as I wanted to ruin it, I'm not going to lie, I spawned in my first play session afterwards on Golden Sands and was really happy. I was look at it.
I think as a designer, you think so much about the psychology of players and how they'll react to certain things. And I genuinely believe personally that it would go the way, it would go to that negative choice, it would go to the Reapers.
They choose chaos.
Who wouldn't want to see what happened if the Reapers won? Because Golden Sands, it's about taking it back to that neutral state, which it will evolve now because the choice has been made. But I always thought people would side with the Reapers. So just blown away by the fact that didn't happen. I thought that was a lovely surprise, and it's going to be really interesting as players see it throughout this year what's going to happen to Golden Sands now and how that's going to play out.
And honestly, and I love knowing kind of what the next decision point is and where we're leading to. Like that is going to be another huge moment for our community to have to again make a choice, right? And the impact that's coming with that, like without teasing too much. But it's like, you know, later this year there's going to be another big one. Like I think bigger in terms of kind of emotional.
I think the emotional investment in the next one I think will be bigger.
Well, so I'm going to ask again. You've kind of preempted the question, but. So we're having another decision point. That's happening.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, but, on the screen, that's
and it's a big one.
But so that was my question. Like, if we were to like scale it based on the last one, is this bigger, similar? What can people expect?
Bigger. It's absolutely bigger. It cuts right to the core of some of the key characters in the Sea of Thieves. And we wanted to do that. We wanted to drive a big world change with Golden Sands. Obviously, we set that up with the first adventure, Treasure Island. And picking Golden Sands because it was a beloved outpost, beautiful palm trees, it's paradise. We knew that would trigger an emotional response for our players, but we've done that now. We've seen how players interact with it. We've learned some lessons about how to set up these type of live storytelling events, and now we're going to go even further. We're going to be even more ambitious with this second choice this year, so look out for that.
And also mechanically, again, without spoiling it, but you've learned a lot from how we designed the first one and the activities people were doing and how we're going to be kind of, like, I love what we've got planned there in terms of like the activities people are going to be doing and how that's going to play out and how it's just, I think, going to make the whole Sea of Thieves feel so different during that time period.
Yes.
Right?
It'll be a real moment in time, and Joe's right. We've deliberately in Adventures so far done very different things. One's more focused on the pure gameplay, one's more focused on the storytelling, all these different set pieces, because we're learning, and we're going to take those learnings into the future adventures that we've planned out. We're already doing that.
You've touched on it slightly there, but how is it planned, like in terms of production, as executive producer? Asking. In terms of production, as design director, like how do you kind of prepare for that decision point though? Like, you know, do we have both tracks ready to go, or is it more a case of, well, we assume this will happen, or we have a more neutral state?
That genuinely is probably one of the most complex things we've ever done.
Well, you got like 2 minutes.
I'll keep it brief. But you've got to plan for both outcomes. We deliberately don't start building the bigger things because that would be an incredible waste of the team's time. That we could put to more valuable things. But we have to plan out a junction point. So earlier on, when I was talking about the fact that we've got adventures planned out for the next year and a half, there's almost a fork in the roads there, where there's almost option A and there's option B, based on some of these community choices that we're planning. So it makes a complex job even more complex, but like so worthwhile. So worthwhile to see that play out with the community.
And Joe, just kind of, we're going to wrap up in a moment, but like from what you know of the next decision point, like do you think we're going to see that kind of groundswell from the community again?
I think they're gonna go wild for the next one. I think it's really exciting, and with that other decision point, they've seen how they can alter the world that they're playing in, and that most of them spend a lot of their time in. And I think this next one really is going to step it up, and I think we will see that resurgence of the passion that we saw in the last decision point, and then some.
So to wrap up, then, we're here for a couple more days. What can people expect, like from us at Gamescom?
Just come to the stand, basically. Like there's always going to be Sea of Thieves crew at the stand, right? And each day we have, like there's a meet and greet slot that we've tweeted out. I don't know when it is. 5 o'clock today, 5 p.m. today.
5 o'clock today.
And then 1 o'clock, I think, every other day. I think. But and then you can come play. You can win the medallions. Like you can watch the stream. But the whole point we're here is just to chat and meet with fans, right? That's why we brought so many people here. That's the energy we want. Come and give Mike feedback and questions
Specifically on Merrick.
Yeah, specifically on Merrick.
I love it. Honestly, that is the privilege of being at a live show like this. Nothing energises you more than talking to fans, feeling their passion, hearing their questions and their feedback. We don't just want to hear the good stuff, we want to hear the bad stuff. We want to learn, we want to make this service of Sea of Thieves and this pirate world the best it can possibly be. If you love pirates, Sea of Thieves should be the game for you. So we love nothing more than talking to our fans. We love the game as much as our fans do.
What a wonderful place to leave it.
Yeah, isn't that lovely?
You didn't even ask any questions about Skull and Bones. What's that then?
Tell me about Skull and Bones show.
Oh, we're out of time.
But no, so thank you. But this has been great. So thank you ever so much. And as Joe says, if you are here, do come down and see us.
Please do, honestly.
But if not, we'll see you on the seas.
Indeed, yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.